Almost 12 months ago now, Mojang shifted from giant yearly updates to multiple smaller updates sprinkled throughout each year. Thus far, we've gotten some pretty cool content, but today's video is about what I think is by far the best: Minecraft's The Copper Age update. We'll be going over all the new features coming with this update, as Mojang themselves have stated it is now feature complete, and hopefully the Copper Age will be dropping within the next month or so for everybody to play outside of Snapshots. With all that said, here's everything you need to know. Kicking things off for the video, I think we have to discuss one of the most important aspects of this update, and that is of course the actual copper gear that comes from the Copper Age. This is a very interesting addition to the game, as whenever we got our last addition to the general progression, it actually came after Diamond, as Netherite being the end game material. But with the Copper Age, it's seeming as though we're going backwards, and we are at a tier before Iron. So that kind of begs the question, what exactly is the point of the brand new copper gear? Well, before I answer that question, of course, we can go over the new copper gear, being we have a new copper tool set, we have brand new copper nuggets, which can be gotten by smelting copper tools. We of course also have copper armor, which you can see right here and on the armor stand in front of me, and we also have copper horse armor as well. Me personally, I've never been crazy about copper horse armor or just horse armor in general. I mainly just use what I think looks cool. Now, this is going to beg the question, like I just said, what exactly is the point of this brand new copper gear in this Copper Age? Well, when it comes to the tools, I really don't think there is one. These tools are basically just the tiniest step above stone, and I personally don't find that they serve much of a purpose. Now, don't get me wrong, Minecraft being a sandbox game, I'm very happy to have more options than to not have more options. So even if it's something that I myself am not going to use much, I'm very glad that it exists. However, when it comes to the actual progression of things, I think the copper tools are something that you can mainly skimp out on, but the copper armor, on the other hand, is actually where things become useful. You see, when you're in the early game and you're exploring caves, iron is a very good resource to have, because that of course is going to send you into the Diamond Age, allowing you to get diamonds, allowing you to mine obsidian, and in general just get better durability stuff and stuff that's going to protect you a lot more. And whenever you do enter the Iron Age, I think that having iron tools is infinitely more useful to you than having iron armor. And that's kind of where copper comes into play. You're going to be finding tons of copper throughout your playthrough very early on, and instead of using your iron on something like an entire armor set, I personally would use copper as my armor set and save my iron for brand new tool sets, anvils, shields, etc. Iron is incredibly useful and always will be, and in the early game, I don't really think you need that much extra protection. Copper armor would definitely be my go-to in the early game. Copper tools, on the other hand, something I would really skip out on. Now, allow me to crawl out of my little hole here and on over to the Copper Age Museum as we discuss the brand new blocks and block types that have come with this update. You guys probably saw a couple of them while we were showcasing the new gear, but here of course we have the brand new copper bars, and of course these will all have oxidization stages, and you of course can wax them to prevent them from oxidizing. This right here is how you craft them, and of course the iron bars now exist alongside these, and in my opinion, you can use some of the oxidized stages of these to make some really cool looking rusting jail bars. Very big fan of the copper bars. Now over here, we also now have copper chains. These look fantastic, and of course, they also have their oxidization stages. This is how you craft copper chains. One of the coolest additions, something I never thought Minecraft would get, are brand new chests, and these of course are the copper chests, which are useful for a brand new mob we'll talk about later. This of course is how you craft the brand new copper chest. We can go and move on over to this area right here. You can see we have some brand new copper lanterns, as well as, maybe you saw it earlier, a little bit of copper torch action going on. So if we go ahead and take a look, this is how you craft the copper lantern, and this is how you craft the copper torches. Now, notably, whenever the copper lanterns actually oxidize, they don't produce less light like these little copper, redstone lamp thingies right here. Whenever these things oxidize, they actually get dimmer. The copper lanterns do not. They put off basically basically the same light level the entire time, which I found interesting. Over here, we have an old feature, which is the copper lightning rod, but now it is a new feature in the sense that it oxidizes, so you can use these for multiple different types of builds. Over here, we have the brand new shelf block, one of the coolest new additions in this update. This, of course, is how you craft them. You can craft them with every wood type in the game, and they serve as a decorative function. I'll show you guys a bunch of different building ideas with these later, but as you can see, you can just kind of slap them down and put stuff on them for the sake of decoration, or if you do power them with redstone, it'll actually get rid of these little grooves here, and whenever you put items on there and interact with it, it'll actually swap your entire hotbar worth of items depending on how many of these shelves you have lined up. So you can instantly switch an entire inventory, an entire hotbar by just interacting with them. It's pretty cool. Mainly for me though, I'm going to use them as an aesthetic thing because there's so much stuff you can build with these. Now over here, we have some copper golem statues going on, and we'll talk about the copper golem later, but basically this mob can oxidize over time, and when it oxidizes, it turns into these little statues. And you can use these for all sorts of different areas in building, and they also come with all of these little stances that you can put them in, with this one being the default stance. So yeah, these are all of the brand new blocks that have come with this update. Let's go and go over what some of the building ideas are with the new shelf blocks. So one of the first things that came to mind when I saw the brand new shelf blocks was actually turning them into kind of a grocery store, convenience store type deal. Of course, the copper golem statues we talked about earlier kind of look like little action figures on these shelves. And as we go down, you can see what a lot of the different items look like whenever you put them on here. This, of course, is compatible with resource packs. So you can see the end crystal is 3D, my maces on there are 3D, and everything in between. But they do look really nice. If you ever trying to put together a grocery store or a convenience store, just throwing up random items on these shelves makes it look incredibly lively. And it's like, hey, you know, maybe I want this nautilus shell, some nether stars, you know, I'll throw some cash on here, buy them, and take my leave. Now, another idea I had with these is actually using them as kind of a kitchen cabinet type deal. You'll notice I have an end rod put on the edges of these shelves to kind of look like, you know, you would grab the end rod as like a handle to open up the shelf down here. So you can see we have a double door one here, we have one there, up here we have a double door and a double door, and you can kind of just use these as a cabinet design for a more modern home, which I think looks really cool. Now here I've prepared quite a few different examples. So of course you can take banners in a loom and you can put a letter design on them and turn them into words for things like a storefront right here. You of course can use shelves to make a more rounded looking window. As you can see, I got these spruce stairs, spruce trapdoor, spruce shelf, and you can just repeat that pattern in order to make a more circular design for windows. Of course, if we come over here, you can also use them for nice looking pillars. If we come over here, you can use them for a nice chair design. So you can use this as the back of a chair instead of just another sign. But the more important thing is you can use them to make slot machines. So I think these do look pretty nice. I like the design of these, and we could probably thicken this up a little bit with these trapdoors as well. Very awesome looking slot machine. Of course, you have like a little stand for the dragon egg, and you can put the dragon's head right there. And of course, the last idea, which I'm sure many of you guys like the grocery store had, is kind of like a barkeep situation, or like a potion seller or something like that. It adds a ton of color to this build, which otherwise would be pretty plain, or if we didn't have shelves, would look kind of ugly, because you would basically just have item frames in their stead, and it doesn't nearly look as good with the item frame. So yeah, shelves just add so much more to builds, and I'm a huge fan of them. Alright, so I think if you guys have waited long enough, let's finally talk about the copper golem. Now, these copper golems right here are just regular waxed statues, so I don't know if I really talked about it earlier, but whenever they do become statues, you of course can keep them like that and keep them waxed so that you always have them. But of course, like regular copper items, you of course can wax them or de-wax them with an axe. So I can just go ahead and bring these guys to life like this. And you'll notice that they immediately make a run for these little chests right here. Now, if you want to get a copper golem in your world just regularly, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to take any kind of copper block and then put a carved pumpkin on top of it. So if I just remove that and then replace it, you'll see that brand new copper golem spawn in, and they also spawn in with a chest, which is pretty nice. Now, how exactly does this work? Well, if we take a look at the chests in here, you'll see that they have a random assortment of items. And how you're going to utilize these guys in your base is you're gonna have their copper chests just filled with whatever you want. Let's say, you know, I'm out here and I'm exploring, right? I have a full inventory, I come home and I just slap a bunch of random materials into these 2 copper chests. Well, these guys, little by little, are gonna be going through these chests, grabbing these items and bringing them to the chest in my base to actually put stuff in them and get them all sorted, which is really sick. Because if you're somebody that wants to, you know, value your time, you don't want to set up an entire, you know, chest organization system, and you just want to have one of these little guys or a few of them in your base, just come home from a long day of mining, slap a bunch of items in here, and then they'll walk throughout your base and place these brand new items in here to get everything sorted properly. It's a really cool system, and I'm sure there's a lot of really cool stuff people are going to do with them in the future. For me though, I'm pretty basic when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I'll just kind of let them operate at their own pace. Now, with all that out of the way, let's just talk about some miscellaneous features that have come with this brand new update. The first of which I want to talk about really quick is the new dye textures. And I'm going to be honest, I absolutely love these. Before this update, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure pink, magenta, purple, and gray. I could be off about one of these, but 4 dyes, maybe 5 before this update were the exact same texture, just different colors. And I think these new textures are fantastic. It looks like they're sitting on top of a piece of paper or something like that. But overall, I think they look so much more clean than what was here previously. I know there's going to be a lot of nostalgia people that are like, oh, the old dyes were better, yada yada. But I think this is a fantastic change, and it also really is going to help out a lot of colorblind people, because every single one of these textures is actually different, whereas previously almost like 4 or 5 of them were the exact same. Really good change here. Now, another really good change that came with this update is something that I thought would only ever be here because of mods, and really a lot of these new updates that Mojang have been doing definitely seem very mod inspired. But that is of course the changes to the debug menu. Now, as you see here, if I press F3, you'll notice the F3 screen looks very different. It's not quite as in your face and messy and all that kind of stuff. Why exactly is that? Well, they've given us the ability to customize the F3 screen ourselves. All you have to do now is hold F3 and press F5, and that's going to bring up this brand new screen for you where you can specifically show what you want to see in the F3 screen, whether you want to see it or not, so you can just turn it off, or if you want it to always be there. So if I click always on the game version and on FPS, if I press F3, while I play normally, you'll see that my FPS counter is there and the Minecraft version that I'm playing on is there. I can of course make it where it's only in the F3 screen, or if I don't want to see it at all, I can just turn it off. If I scroll around right here and let's see, if I type in chords or what is it, XYZ, what is it called here? Here we go, the player position. If I go ahead and click always and just go ahead and pull up F3, you'll notice that at all times while I'm exploring, I can see my player position. I can see where I'm facing, the chunk I'm in, the block I'm on, my XYZ, everything in between, kind of like Bedrock Edition, although it doesn't really look as clean. But this is one of the coolest things that Mojang's added in a minute now, because there's just so much more customization here, and for the longest time the F3 screen looked absolutely horrible, and now it's so much more cleaner and you can make it look however you want. Now, for one of the last features that Mojang added, they added a very specific interaction between iron golems and copper golems. So I'm gonna go and spawn a copper golem in there and spawn an iron golem in here. And over time, while these guys are just hanging out next to each other, the iron golem will actually give the copper golem a poppy and just kind of stick it on his head. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do /tick_rate 1000, and we're gonna speed up this progress, or this process, mind you, and just wait for this iron golem to give this guy a poppy, because I really want to show you guys what it looks like. Oh my goodness. Oh, I see it. I see it. It took multiple Minecraft days, but I see it. /tick_rate 20. There we go. As you can see, it took multiple days, but one of these iron golems planted a poppy on this guy's head right here. And yeah, I guess if you ever wanted a quote-unquote rare copper golem, you could go out of your way to introduce them to some iron golems and, you know, get a little poppy variant, kind of like a rare axolotl. It's a pretty cool feature. Now, a brand new feature that I wanted to dedicate to its own little timestamp in this video, and this is the last brand new change of the Copper Age update, is actually the brand new end flashes that you'll find in the end dimension. Now, if you're somebody that's been keeping up with Minecraft news for a while, you probably know that this initially started with the Minecraft Bedrock Edition with the Vibrant Visuals update, which has led people to believe that, seeing as it is now in Java Edition, that Vibrant Visuals is right around the corner. Now, side note, me personally, not really excited for Vibrant Visuals. I'm glad that it exists, but I'm probably going to stick with complementary shaders. But I feel like with this whole end flash thing, there's definitely something more going on here. I mean, I feel like it doesn't make sense to just add something like this, especially like in its current state. It feels like they're testing something, right? It's almost as if they're like testing lighting features or something like that. And if that really were the case and that's all that was going on, why is it in the main version of the game? I mean, to my knowledge, right, this only exists in the Vibrant Visuals version of Minecraft Bedrock Edition. And in Minecraft Java, you don't need Vibrant Visuals. It just exists as an actual feature in the game now. I feel like Mojang most definitely has to be teasing something big with this new feature, because Mojang already knows how much the community wants an end update. It really doesn't make sense for them to add a brand new feature to the end dimension if there's something bigger that's not in store. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems really odd to me that it's like, oh yeah, so you get these built-in shaders called Vibrant Visuals, and for some reason, there's random purple flashes happening in the end. I feel like this is kind of like a Fortnite live event type deal where they're trying to tease something and get the community in on something. Something is changing in the Minecraft universe, because the end has been the same for an incredibly long time now, you know, shy of the brand new chorus fruit and these end cities and stuff. But seeing an actual change to the dimension itself, not new structures or anything like that, but to just the entirety of the dimension. I mean, the end will never be the same again because of these happening. It just seems like there's more going on here than meets the eye. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think of the Copper Age update, and let me know what you guys think of what's going on with those end flashes. There's definitely something more to the story than just them testing lighting stuff, as that would be something that they would just keep internally. But guys, thank you all so much for watching. I haven't covered a brand new update in a long form video in a long time, so I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Thank you all so much for all the support over the last year or so, and I'll see you guys next time.